I just like to say that no matter where you are on this journey called life, if you just remember that this is an experience where there are lessons to be learned every single day, and the only time you have problems really is if you refuse to learn the lessons. You can be the nicest person, you can be the smartest person, but if you're not learning these life lessons, if you're not experiencing life, if you're not bringing other people along for the ride with you, then you're going to remain stagnant and you're going to be wondering why you can't get to the place where you see friends and colleagues and people that you admire are. It takes dedication to yourself. It takes self love. Takes recognizing the value and worth that you bring into the world.
Welcome to Just One Question with your host, Lion Flood. This podcast is brought to you by The Minority Report, where our goal is to inspire, educate, and empower you with cultural knowledge. We'll also have conversations dealing with social justice, mental health, and the all-around truth. So if you're bold enough to hear the truth, then you're listening to the right podcast. Let's find out what that one question is with your host, Lion Flood.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of J1Q, Just One Question, a podcast that is here for you to help with education, inspiration, and all resources for minority communities and underprivileged voices. Today, we're going to be having a guest coming on, Samantha Gregory, and we're going to be talking about ways to empower women of color, recognizing their worth, and also helping with attracting better love and more wealth. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's give a big round of applause for our guest, Samantha Gregory. Yes, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Lion?
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. We're about to step into a whole new year of prosperity um, and everything. And I really enjoy having this conversation because in our prior conversation when you and I spoke highly about how it took me many years to first learn that being a single mom and a single parent just in general is extremely tough, and as kids we don't
Mhm.
see that. So I'm really excited about this subject. Before we begin though, I want to ask you to maybe just do a small intro of yourself to let our listeners and our viewers know a little bit more about you, because they can read a bio, right? Everyone's going to be able to see the words on the screen, go to a website, but sometimes hearing it from the person, it just takes it to another place. So please take a few moments just to do a little intro about yourself, and then we'll jump right into this.
Absolutely. So I'm Samantha Gregory. I'm an author, speaker, and founder. And my main goal on the planet is to empower women, especially Black women, to recognize their worth, embrace their freedom, and attract more love and wealth. And I started this because I went on a journey myself of healing and self evolution. And from there, I have just been trying to share the message of you can heal your life, you can heal your finances, and you can become the best version of yourself as long as you want to. All the power is in your hands to do that. And so I'm actually a native of Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm in working in corporate. I'm a technical writer and instructional designer and a consultant. Getting into tech was not really the thing I wanted to do, or I kind of fell into it because I was going to be a magazine editor actually. But writing found me, and from there I've just been finding ways to mesh what I love to do with what I'm skilled to do and bringing it to the world through social media, through my websites, and through my writing.
Love it, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's one of those things that sometimes we forget that, um, we're focused on one thing, but our path leads us, to another place,
Absolutely.
and it's just like, oh, I'm here. Let me just roll with it. So I remember
Yeah.
growing up, most kids want to be firemen, police officers. I wanted to be an attorney, and then I started down that journey, and I started going to law school and everything, and I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know it was this much work. I was like,
Right.
let me pivot to something else. No way, no way. So let's talk about, you said you're founder, author, book writer, consultant, and one of the things that you say you really love is to work on ways to help empower women of color or just allies and everyone. What are some of your goals with that? What are some things that you feel you're pushing the needle towards going?
Self care is my number one thing because Black women, especially, are overworked, overwhelmed, overcommitted, and it's because not that they want to. We love helping people, of course, but that becomes when it becomes expectation, we start running into burnout. We start running into this space of not doing enough for ourselves and spreading ourselves so thin that we don't have any more for ourselves, often not enough for our family. And so I'm just here to empower women, especially Black women, to practice radical self care and to get to the point where they aren't afraid to say no. They aren't afraid to prioritize themselves and to make sure that by filling their own cup, they have something left for other people. That's one of my main messages. And also, in doing that, you have to learn how to build better boundaries. Because if you don't have good boundaries, then you will always go and be in this loop of burnout or recovery through, and I hate the word, to say that is like kind of surface self care instead of that deep self care that's transformational. You have to get to that place where your boundaries are so strong that you know how to say no. Self care is a daily, minute by minute thing that you do for yourself, not just from the mental and physical, but from the financial and emotional as well.
It's so true, and I want to touch on that just a little bit as well because I think when most people hear self care, they just
Hmm.
think of the nails, the hair.
Yep.
Sometimes self care is so much more. You got to go deeper. Uh, like my wife, she'll jokingly say on her podcast sometimes, I take 10, 15, 20 minutes to myself. I will go lock myself in the bathroom and
Hmm.
turn the lights off, decompress. It's
Yes.
my little quiet time. And she would joke like, I thought you were using the bathroom all the time. Like, no, babe. Sometimes I just need my time. I call it going back to zero. I reset
Hmm.
myself back when there's so much going on in the world, left, right, noise, everything, the crowd. That is so true. And another thing you said that I use an analogy with when I'm speaking with her because she is that way. My wife is my backbone. She's everything to this household, but I don't want her to feel like she needs to do everything. I say
Right.
the analogy of the airplane when the mask comes down and they tell you put it on you first and then
Yes.
put it on the children. And she used to be, oh no, I got to make sure everyone else is okay first.
Hmm.
Babe, you got to. So I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then now we go to that next part of it, right? Recognizing their worth. When you
Hmm.
said that there, because I think, and again, this is only my limited opinion on it, but I think society has put so much pressure on black people in general, but especially black women, even down to the things of where we would hear the angry black women
Right.
syndrome or whatever they call it. And it was a touchy subject, but I would jokingly say sometimes, not jokingly, but I would say it to represent, like, well, hey, you don't see the so-called angry black women going out there shooting up places or doing all
Thank
these crazy
you.
things. So,
Yes.
what is your view on that? Showing them how to recognize their worth and that they are the backbone of our society, pretty much.
Well, I have a couple of views on that. Being the backbone of society, that's a lot of pressure, I think. But I feel like when we are resilient, we do have a lot of strength, but we have to use it for good. And when I say use it for good, I mean we have to make sure, like you said, we put our own oxygen mask on first, and then we'll have the energy and resources to help a few people, not save the whole world, because we can't do that. We have to equip people to be able to save themselves, just like we're trying to save ourselves too. And so, when recognizing your worth is being able to see that you are worth taking time for yourself, taking those 5 to 10 minute breaks every single day, saying no to those people who want to run you ragged, and finding your voice basically. And then when you find your voice, you're able to move into this space and place of, I know who I am, I know what I'm worth, and I don't have to settle for being the mule for the entire planet. Labor is not my only language of being in the world of value, but I have so much more to give. I am valuable just because I'm me. I'm worthy just because I'm me. I'm deserving just because I'm me. And that is a message that has not been shared, reinforced, spoken into the lives of Black women. And I'm here to do that, for help them see that part of them and to really elevate themselves so they can see how much they're worth and how
Love
valuable
it,
they are.
yes, and I thank you for that because I'm always learning as well, and so when I make that statement of backbone to our culture, it's not in reference to the pressure, but I am going to work to change that now because I don't want it to sound as if I'm saying, hey, it's a bunch of pressure on you. I
Sure,
think,
yeah.
and I'm gonna find a better way to say it. I think what I'm trying to say is that they are so important
Mm,
to everything that we're doing. Not that we need them to do everything, but I'm gonna work at finding a better way at that. And we're gonna jump into your book in just a second. But the last thing I wanted to kind of bring up was your your talk about attracting better love and more wealth.
mhm,
And I really love this because I think sometimes, and I don't want to say it because I'm speaking for women because that is not what I'm doing, but it's just my insight to towards the subject is that, and please correct me if I'm off track or anything because I love that
sure.
and I get better with it. It's the fact of we almost not we, but I feel sometimes Black women almost settle for what they feel they can only get, but it's not their fault. It's almost ingrained because
Hmm.
our generations we see that's what mom settled for. That's all they could, and
Right.
instead of that strength of saying, you know what, I'm out. So touch on that for us a little bit, please.
Absolutely. So you're totally right, and I really appreciate you saying that. We are really important to the community because we are. But as far as attracting more love and better wealth, or better love and more wealth, that is, I hone in on that piece because, like you said, we often are in this space where we've only seen a lot of toxic relationships. We've only seen our mothers settling, our grandmothers, aunts, uncles, settling for struggle love, for lack of a better word. And then because that's the only way we knew how to survive. But now we're in this different age and different space. And it doesn't mean that we no longer feel the effects of racism, classism, misogynist behavior, or patriarchy. But we aren't focused on that so much anymore. We do have an expanded life now, in this 21st century. But we have to break the habit of toxic relationships and struggle love. We have to love ourselves so that in loving ourselves, we are able to receive a healthier love, love that's sustainable, love that makes us feel like we are as important as we're finding out, or as valuable and worthy that we are discovering that we are. And so, in being in that space of attracting healthier love, healthier relationships, and not just romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships, work relationships. It covers the whole gamut. But when we're in that space, then we find that more abundance comes to us. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about wealth. We have a wealth of experiences. We have a great bank account. We have more abundance, more than enough, more than what we need. And then we have so much that it overflows, and we're able to give from a place of love and a place of empowered action, inspired action. So those are the two main reasons why I hone in on this concept of attracting more love and more wealth. It is important for our community because we do have an abundant buying power, but we got to use it in the right way so that we can have sustainable generational wealth, and not just wealth, but sustainable generational healthy love too.
Absolutely love it. And I get a little excited there when I hear this kind of stuff because here's um, my take on looking at that. Because when you said that just now, it hits me, and it's something that I say often. Because our generations, I feel, weren't taught the correct, I don't say correct, yeah, the correct way of handling money, handling finances,
Hmm.
handling love, then that is what's passed down. So when
Yeah.
I went through my time frame of reflection and learning, and I looked in what I call a dirty mirror, how can I improve
Mm.
so it doesn't pass down to my son and pass down to my kids, right? Well, my grandparents, they were taught by their parents, and so it just passed down because that's what they knew. So I didn't directly blame them as I got older. As a kid, you're always like,
Oh yeah.
why can't I have this? But you start to realize, hey, they were only taught what they were taught, and that's what they passed down. So to them,
Hmm.
they were passing it down right. I didn't learn how to do, and we're going to get into that in just a second, but I didn't learn how to do the finances, like you said, to mentally know that generational wealth or wealth doesn't always mean money. It can
Hmm.
mean that family bond, that love, and everything. And I know you wrote a couple of books or a book about it that we're about to talk about right now. Would you intro the book name and then just talk about it a little bit as well?
Sure. So the book is called No More Crumbs: How to Stop Dating and Mating for Crumbs and Get the Cake You Deserve in 10 Crucial Steps. And I wrote the book because I it was sort of my catalyst for healing my own personal story and moving out of that space of toxic relationships, struggle love, and all the things that I mentioned before, and helping other people see that here are 10 things you can do in your life that will put the brakes on this type of behavior and help you get into the space of moving from toxic relationships to healthy relationships, from struggle love to sustainable love, love that lasts a lifetime, not just for your romantic relationships, but also every other relationship that you have because you set those boundaries because of this book.
And where can people find it if they're interested in learning more about that book directly as well, and maybe some of the other ones you have?
Sure, you can go to nomorecrimesdating.com and you can get it there. It's also available on Amazon. Of course, if you order from my website, you'll get a autographed copy of it, and then some other goodies that I have as well. So with Amazon, you won't get that, but with me personally, you will get that.
Love it, love it. It's like a little serenity. I love it.
Yes.
I use my letters, my acronym ABBA, ABBA, right? Not the group.
Mhm.
So, but
Sure, sure.
I tell my son, always be branding, always,
Hmm.
always represent your company.
Yes.
If you know, we had a friend who made a post on one of the social media platforms in reference to one of their products, and we're friends, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second, I never knew you had sold that. Where did where did this come from? And I'm like, you should be shouting it to the world. But what if this? No, shout it to the world. Let
Yes.
everyone know. And I know a subject that you love talking about as well and helping, and we went into that. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a look for the listeners. We're going to go and take a look at the website here for just a second, and for the listeners, you can always go to her website as well, and we'll put that in the show notes, samanthagregory.com. But for the viewers, we can see that you do consultations and so forth,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
like who you serve, and it's a beautiful layout, and it has your books and everything. But there's one thing that you have on here that I really love, and we're going to jump into that. It's the single moms uh, website. Please talk a
Yes.
little bit about this and tell us what this is because I love looking at it.
Well, way back in 2008, I had a vision and a dream to share my financial and side hustles with single moms because I'd been hearing and I was looking like, what online can I find when I first became a single mom? Information about how to deal with this whole financial issue thing that we have, this child support issue that we have. And but I was seeing, I just came across so many different forums and websites where single moms were struggling and complaining about child support. And I was like, but there's other ways to have money in your life and attract money. And so I decided to start Rich Single Mama, which started out mostly talking about side hustles and ways to make extra money as a single mom so you have more money at the end of the month instead of the other way around. And so it's evolved since then. And now I offer a free budget worksheet. We have a podcast. I do some consultations as well. And I also still talk about how to make extra money, but really about how to go from financially stressed to financially blessed and to
Mm.
thrive and not just survive financially, emotionally, and physically. So that's really what this website is all about.
Yes, and it has a instant budget worksheet, ladies and gentlemen who are listening. So go check that out and get you a budget worksheet. It's richsinglemama.com, MOMMA.com. And
Yeah.
what's the name of your podcast as well, so people can tune in to listen to that?
It's called the Rich Single Mama Radio. Right now, I'm doing a series called Hello Prosperity, where I just um, interview women, successful single moms, women who are making it financially, emotionally, and they're on their journey of healing as well.
Gotcha. And I saw that you reach out single moms, professional women, and even small
Mhm.
businesses. So we don't want anyone
Yes.
to think it's only just single moms, right? But reach out, get a budget, because we kind of touched on that a little bit about how um, we as a community, as a society, especially the black culture, we aren't taught specifically, in our school systems. I can't remember learning to balance a checkbook in school. Like,
Never,
then
no.
learning about interest and everything. It's like they throw you to the wolves, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
know that this certain APR or interest or whatever is one that you shouldn't take. I had a family member once. We're going to one of those uh, cash check places to get money or something.
Oh,
And yeah,
yeah.
right. And then we were talking. He's like, "Hey, it's only, let's use $100 for an example, but I'm gonna pay that back next week." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you're still gonna owe like almost 80 something dollars on it." No, no.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did that. Then they got a letter or something. I was like, "Yeah, let me sit you down and talk to you about it." And it's crazy. It's like predatory. They could charge you like 200-300% on all of
Yes.
that stuff. It's crazy. And you have a community as well, um, in within that, to like get people to kind of come together within the online community or something. Do you have anything like
It's
that?
mostly on Facebook. Yeah, it's mostly on Facebook. So I do have a page, Rich Single Mama page, and so that's
Okay.
where you can go and you can get more information about what's happening in our community, talk with other single moms, and just really connect with them. I also have a nonprofit. I don't think I told you about that. So
Oh,
it's called Smiles, the Single Mom Institute for Life and Economic Stability, and it's about financial education and tech education, so the single moms can move out of kind of dead end careers and move into
yeah.
tech careers, so that they can make more money and thrive again instead of just survive their
Yeah,
single mom journey.
tech is gonna be around forever, right? I don't care
Oh
what
yes,
happens, because
yes,
so my
absolutely.
wife and I, we went down the venture of real estate. We started really learning about that,
Hmm.
and no matter what we go into, inflation, depression, whatever you want to call it, real estate, tech, certain
Yes.
industries will still be here. And I was watching a movie once, and it was something with Jodie Foster. She said this line, and it resonated with me so much. But Denzel Washington was in it, and he was in a bank robbery or something. I can't remember the name of the movie, but she said, "When there's
Inside
blood,
man.
Inside Man, yes, Inside Man." She said, "When there's blood in the streets, buy real estate." And at
Hmm.
first, when I heard that, didn't understand it. And then when I started learning, when it's chaotic in the world, when anything bad's happening, buy real estate. It's still going to appreciate. Anyways, we ain't
Right,
getting into
right.
that. That's a whole nother thing. My point is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you need to join a community. You need to get a coach. You need to get someone who has been where you want to go to get there,
Hmm.
because no matter what your pride says, no matter what, how strong you are, you cannot do it by yourself. I don't care what you
Correct.
think. No one who's made it to whatever financial portion they want, wealth, whatever, has made it on themselves. They will tell you they surround themselves with a team, positive minded people. What are your thoughts? What do you feel if someone comes to you and they say, you know what, I got this? Eh, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I totally understand. I've had several coaches. I've just actually finished a program, and it really helped me get to another level, or the level that I'm going. Because if you stay stagnant and you think, "Oh, I got it," or "I'm good," or "I don't need to learn anything else," you're deluding yourself. Because as a human, you're always learning, or you should be, because that's how you grow, evolve, become a better version of yourselves. And you can definitely read books, you can watch videos on YouTube, you can do all the things, but when you have that one on one customized coaching for your situation, you will get 10 times more than if you just read a book, or if you looked at a generic video on YouTube, something that's not customized to you. And so that, yeah, I totally wholeheartedly recommend that you get coaching, or if you're a business, get consulting, so you can get that information that you need, that fits your situation.
Yeah, you got to drop whatever could be holding you back, ladies and gentlemen. I have coaches. I got
Mhm.
them, and I still use them to this day. I'm in a program to learn more about podcasting. For example, I started this journey. I said, you know what, I want to get better. How do I do that?
Mhm.
I can look at YouTube. I can do it, but I need someone that says, "Ooh, I just noticed you did this wrong," or "Hey, maybe try improving on that." So
Right.
love it. What are some final thoughts or words or anything we missed? Because we're getting ready to wrap it up, that you maybe want to leave the listeners with, to know a little bit more about your passion. What are some final thoughts that you want to maybe say?
I just like to say that no matter where you are on this journey called life, if you just remember that this is an experience where there are lessons to be learned every single day, and the only time you have problems really is if you refuse to learn the lessons. You can be the nicest person, you can be the smartest person, but if you're not learning these life lessons, if you're not experiencing life, if you're not bringing other people along for the ride with you, then you're going to remain stagnant, and you're going to be wondering why you can't get to the place where you see friends and colleagues and people that you admire are. It takes dedication to yourself. It takes self love. Takes recognizing the value and worth that you bring into the world. And when you get to that space, when you're ready to go to that next level, then reach out to me, reach out to a coach, reach out to someone who is, again, as Lion said, is where you want to be. Because you can't get there by leaping over other people without going through the experience, the process. Process is part of life, and the lessons that you learn through this life are the things that's going to help you get better and better day after day. And especially as we go into this new year, you really want to sit down and evaluate, where am I right now, where do I want to be at the end of next year, and start taking those steps to get there.
Love it, love it. And as I usually always end my segments with, is I was reading this thing called 50 points, 50 advice points, from an 80-year old. It's a gentleman who's 80 years old, and he wrote this little thing. But I just found some things interesting in that. And one of the little lines from it, he says, remember that 80% of the success in any job is based on your ability to deal with people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Any situation, you just got to learn how to handle that situation and deal with them. Now, got one last question I want to throw at you. You didn't know this was
Sure.
coming, but I love asking my guests this right here, because it's a project that I'm working on, and it really hits home with me. Um, what do you want to be remembered by in this world when you leave your legacy? What do you want your legacy to say?
Oh, wow, that's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. My legacy that I want to leave is that I showed people how to live their best life and how to become the best version of themselves. It's a tough world out there, but it can be more beautiful, more abundant when you tap into the love that's already inside of your heart, and that will take you through any issue, any problem that you face, and you can do it.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming on, Samantha. This
You're
was so
welcome.
heart feeling for me, and I hope our listeners and our viewers really, really take to heart and reach out, even if it's just something to just ask a question on with for you and gain some help. Stick me for 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and get some of these bills paid, and then I'm gonna be right back with you. Okay? Thank you so
Okay.
much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking into Just One Question. This episode is being brought to you by Hustle 1977. For those who grind, you deserve to relax. Why not relax with a glass of smooth tasting Hustle brand whiskey? I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time and listening because without you, I'd be talking to myself. But as my wife usually says, I probably would like that a little too much, anyways. So, thank you for being here, taking this time. And as I always tell you, keep living while you are alive.
Thank you for listening to Just One Question. I know you enjoyed the show because you made it this far. If you want to hear more, subscribe, share, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Now, what's your one question?